In 1492, Columbus made landfall in Cuba and claimed it and its people, Taínos, for Spain. Cuba's location at the intersection of the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf Stream, and the Caribbean Sea made it highly coveted among European monarchs. Routinely targeted by pirates, Havana was captured by the British in 1762. For almost a year, Britain ruled it as part of the same empire as the 13 colonies of North America. From Thomas Jefferson to James Buchanan, many 19th century American leaders were interested in incorporating Cuba into the United States. Powerful Southerners wanted it to become 2 or 3 slave states, and they funded armed expeditions to wrest the island from Spain. None succeeded. Still, Americans gained an important foothold in the Cuban economy, which was geared around sugar and slavery. Between 1868 and 1898, Cubans fought 3 wars of independence against Spain. All of these wars were waged by a popular army in which men of color rose to the highest positions. Patriot leader José Martí organized the final war from New York, the city where he lived most of his adult life. The United States intervened in 1898 at the end of that war, defeated Spain, and then proceeded to occupy the island militarily until 1902. It left only after Cuban leaders accepted the Platt Amendment, which gave the U.S. the right to intervene in Cuba. By the 1920s, American corporations controlled more than 2/3 of the sugar industry, the pillar of the Cuban economy. The rise of American tourism to Cuba during Prohibition turned that industry into what some called a second crop, and further tied the Cuban economy to that of its northern neighbor. Yet starting in the 1920s, students, workers, and others increasingly questioned the island's subservience to the United States and their own government's collusion with it. Historians sometimes refer to that moment as a nationalist awakening. The event Americans know as Fidel Castro's Communist Revolution began neither as Fidel Castro's nor as communist. In the broad movement against strongman Fulgencio Batista that began to take shape in the early 1950s, Castro was just one figure among many. Anti-communists fought in the revolution, and Cuba's Communist Party did not endorse Castro until much later. The story of how the revolution became communist after coming to power is a fast-paced chronicle of internal tensions, an escalating confrontation with the United States, and a global Cold War that made only 2 positions possible.